Hey everybody, Alan from Dicewrench. Welcome to a quick little demo slash walkthrough of the new Foliage Renderer Mesh Module. We are here in everybody's favorite Microverse 2x2 demo scene. And Jason has set up this great little rock with this height stamp showing off the height stamp, so you get this nice blend and sticking some trees in here. But this is a great candidate for demoing how you might want to integrate mesh objects like cliffs or big rocks like this or anything else you could think of, or whole mesh terrains with your other foliage rendering via the new mesh module. So we're going to take a look at that. We're going to look at some of the procedural stuff. We'll probably do painting in another demo, and another thing I'll show you how to get started with it, just so you know where the buttons are. And then you can experiment and find sort of the mix of the workflow that you like the best. Okay, so we have already converted this scene over to Foliage Render. You can see all of our stuff is in here, and you can do that by just opening up the Microverse 2x2 demo scene and clicking Create Foliage Render. It's literally the only button I've pushed, and we're done. It's all rendering in Foliage Render. It's one button. I don't know how to make it any easier for you. Okay, so let's grab our rock here. This is just a big game object. It's got a mesh stamp, whatever. We don't care about that part. We're going to go add a component. We're going to go to Foliage Render. We're going to go to Providers. And first off, let's add a few trees, and then we'll add some heather, since that's something we got here in the little demo scene, and that's pretty easy to eyeball both those things. So we're going to choose Mesh Tree Provider to get started. It will automatically add a mesh source for us. In here you have material options, so you can pipe in baked data for, whatever extra Foliage Renderer Deluxe stuff you want to do, albedo blending, extra maps, whatever. And you'll notice here our tree provider has already grabbed all the trees that exist in our draw manager as candidates that we could apply to this new mesh. It just works. All right, so let's add some conifer trees because we're kind of next to this little crop of conifer trees right here. So we can click one to select. We're going to click it again to enable it, and right away we get trees everywhere. We got trees sticking out in all directions. We can increase the density and have a real mess on our hands. Okay, we can change the seed to move them around. That's fun. We can change the weight to have more or less of them. You can align to the slope more or less. These are trees, so we don't need to align much, so we'll just do a little bit of that. You can Y offset, right, to move towards the center of the thing. Cool. You can change the scale based on the weight. I don't know if that does anything until we get some of these other things dialed in. Scale lock, get some random scale changing. Oh, that's probably why we're not scaling, because everything's locked. And then rotation lock. We want to set our defaults here from 180 to negative 180, so we get some random rotation along the y-axis. Cool. Now, we don't need our trees sticking out of the sides of this rock. Like, it's goofy. We really just want them on these top flat bits, right? So let's go to slope, and then we're going to hit this weight checkbox to enable this filter. We can have all of these filters turned on if we want, or just the ones we care about. If you end up with some leftover ones that you don't want, click prune randomization, so it'll get rid of the data. It'll reduce your memory footprint ever so slightly. But here in the land of insane paranoid micro optimizations, these are the things we care about. So right now our slope range is between 0 and 180. That's too much. We're gonna turn this down. And then we're gonna slide this around till our trees are just on top. That's pretty good. So now we've got a limited range and our trees are just showing up on top. We can play with the seed now to kind of get an arrangement we like. Yeah, it's too many. It's too few. That's pretty good. All right, I like that. We'll go with that. For our scale, let's default our scale to X is Z, and let's go like 0.6 to 1. So now we get some smaller trees up here, right? That'll randomize our tree size a little bit. Cool. So now we're in business. Really easy. We're 5 total minutes in, and we've got trees on our rock. It's great. Cliff, hill, whatever sort of piece of mesh you wanna put stuff on, or your fully mesh terrain. You can now place things. If you want to paint them, what you do is you check this box. That'll pop up this little start painting button. You hit that start painting button. It'll open the vertex painter. Then you can activate and paint. Painting is an additive filter. Well, not additive. It multiplies with these other filters. So if you have these filters going, then you need to paint stuff in or out from there. Just to give you a sense of that workflow. We're not going to mess with all that, though. That's its own little video in order to keep these a digestible size. So that's a good start, but very, very quick and easy to add rocks. We could scatter some of these rocks around on this cliff. We could scatter ferns and everything, right? All ready to go. But for now, let's just go ahead and add some heather. So we'll go back to providers and we'll do a mesh detail provider. And we'll do a similar sort of setup, but we'll do 2 filters this time. So we'll add heather. In order to see details, you got to click this refresh matrices button. Someday we might change that, but it can potentially be quite expensive depending on the mesh you're dealing with. So we want to be sure you're ready for it. All right. So we've got heather all over. Nice big Muppet cliff. Very furry, very strange. All right. Let's go ahead and add a slope filter like before. This kind of small. We'll slide it up here. We'll hit refresh. Hey, not bad. Okay, we can live with that to start. And then let's add a height filter. So height is in world units. And if we look at our cliff here, our cliff is parked at about, 49 in the world. So 50 somewhere around the middle. So our range is going to be from, we'll just say 0 to 55, and we'll make a smaller fall off on this smoothing here, and then we'll hit refresh. And now you can see we just have heather down here around the back. I'd like it up here a little bit, but kind of let it fade out. So let's just crank this up, our smoothing, and so we'll get a gradient right in world units from the top of 55. So somewhere in here, it'll go up the next 6 units, and it'll lose density as it goes up, which gets us a nice blend, right? You'll be familiar with these sorts of filter settings from your microverse work. If you're in the microverse, microsplat, megasplat ecosystem, this is all going to be fairly familiar to you. Cool. And you're like, great, I put some stuff, I can already do kind of this sort of thing more or less with the microverse and a height stamp and just having stuff intersect. Okay, yeah, fine, sure. But now they don't intersect. That's cool. Let's move this off a little bit. Probably doesn't need to be fully aligned. See how that alignment changed and now they're a little more vertical because plants grow up towards the sun. That's a thing. But the real power here is this all runs through FR, right? So we have the power of the indirect draw manager. We can come in here to heather. We can say custom draw options. We can make this manual. And for some reason, my computer wants to think about that. And we can set the draw distance here down to something really short. And if we look at our stamp, see now our draw distance is very short because we set it all the way down to 30. This is now all integrated. All this stuff fades away. So all the same way you would normally override density or override with a new prefab or anything else, everything runs through the one framework. And it's all the draws get flattened. So the draws of this heather and these trees all get flattened with all the other trees and all the other heather everywhere else in your scene, which is the real bang for buck. So there you go. Quick look at Mesh Module. Finally here in the Foliage Render ecosystem, like we always wanted, and really doing the stuff we want it to do, and really integrated and even more optimized. Wonderful. If you have any questions, of course, hop in the Discord. Let us know here in the comments. And if there's additional features you want to see with this system, I'll do another video on painting at some point in the near future. Look forward to getting this in your hands very soon. Thanks.